What's up, everybody? What's going on today? What day is today? Thursday? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. What's up, Don? I just talked to Don a few minutes ago on the phone. Well, an hour ago, maybe. The mail lady came today with a big box under her arm up to the door. I was out in the garage, and I'm like, I see the box. And I'm like, geez, I wonder what Courtney ordered now. I see the name on the box, and it's mine. I'm like, I thought to myself, I said, Self, did you order something you don't remember? Which is entirely possible. Let me just start right there. I'm not going to deny it. That's entirely possible. But I looked at it, and then I looked at the who it's from box, and it said Don Birdie. But then it said a weird address in some far off city, and I'm like, now I'm intrigued. And I go inside and I open it up, and my buddy Don got me a beautiful birthday present. You know, the spinners you have on your lawn or whatever? I don't really know what those are called. This is a bald eagle, and then it's got two like propeller blades on each side. And I love it. It's awesome. And Don and I fished together a lot last year. And that's, you know, the eagles and the ospreys and everything we would see out there together. Like I say, we fished together a lot of mornings. And Don will tell you, we had birds following us all season long, all season. You couldn't look out there like the West End has the islands, and then it has Toad Harbor, and then it also has Big Bay Swamp as well. So that little corner of the North Shore, from 37 from the edge of Big Bay all the way up and over 49 to Toad Harbor, that's all pretty wild back there, and it's going to be forever wild because that is a swamp like that. Well, no one's ever crossed it or put a road in there. What's that tell you? And it's 2020. You know, it's as far into history as it could be. Boofa says, keep him on topic. Lots of luck, Tony.
I'll try.
Lots of luck. Don and I would see there's a lot of wild lake. There's a lot of wild area out there. And certainly both the islands are wild, even though one's privately owned. And we would see birds trading back and forth. There was two different, anytime I fished around the island, there was a bird, there was an eagle family near the tower, the old tower that's up there. So thank you, Don, for that wonderful gift. I got a little off track. You guys said don't get off track, and I already did. Let's see who's here. 30 people watching right now. Man, that's so cool. It's so cool we get to spend time together. Oh, sorry about yesterday. I missed yesterday, and it wasn't on purpose. I had dinner, and I went over and sat down on the couch for a few minutes, and I guess it had been a long day with a lot going on. And Courtney said I fell asleep. It was before 7:30 because I remember sitting down. I looked at the clock and I'm like, all right, I'll let everybody know we'll go live at 8. And I didn't even make it to 7:30, and I woke up at 12:31. I said that to Don earlier when I was talking to him on the phone. He goes, "You should have went on then." He goes, "I bet you somebody was up." And I'm probably sure that somebody was. When then we got talking, sleep schedules are funny, and it's funny what you think of now as a normal sleep schedule as compared to other parts of your life. Courtney and I talk about that kind of stuff all the time. She's in her late 20s and I'm in my 50s. It's different than when we were young. Not going to get off topic. I'm not. Don Birdie, David Friedenberg. Sorry, Brian Stone, Jason Wickerser, Merlin. What's up, Wiz? I love it when you guys come in together because I call Merlin the Wiz, and then it's Eric Wisniewski, who's known as Wiz. So, what's up, Wiz? And if you guys are together, then it's for both of you. Eric, I tried to get tickets to Dark Hollow tomorrow, and I saw on Facebook this morning they're playing at Middle Ages Brewing. They're opening a new bar or something. Middle Ages is, and they're playing there Friday night and Saturday night. And by the time I heard about it was yesterday. The Saturday night show, which is going to be a full 2 sets from them. Friday night is just going to be 1 set, I believe. That was already sold out. And then I heard this morning that I saw on Facebook that it was sold out last night. I thought of you. I'm like, man, we should go. I haven't heard Dark Owl in years. So Wiz and Wiz, what's up? Mark Webb, happy lunchtime. David Gould, Don Terry, Joe Smelkoff, Typically Fishing, Carl Kapfer, Brian Heatherly. And hold on, see if I touch this thing just wrong like this, my finger goes ping.
All right, got on topic.
She just yelled at me to stay on topic. Sheepers crying it. Carl Kapper, Brian Heatherly, TG. Howdy, Matt and the gang. Tony Boofa. Boof, don't encourage her. See, you encouraged her already. George Parson, Jason Wickeser, Mark Webb. Mark, don't encourage Tony. So you guys, Anthony Delamort, the other Tony in my life. Hi, Matt. Just bought 3 Walleye Fest tickets while sitting at the University of Rochester for Emma's infusion. Emma says, hi. Hi, sweetheart. I would say be strong, but you are strong. More than most of us can even fathom. So I hope today is the day where everything's fixed. Truly. Jim Wild Brookies. Tony Buffa is going to pose an intriguing question to me. Any thought for an addendum to Walleye Fest on May 1st? What do you mean, Boof? I guess we'll start there. What do you mean? I'm not opposed to considering anything. I'm already thinking about it. I'm silently sorry. I guess I shouldn't do that on a talk show. Chief Stone, good afternoon. It is good afternoon. I probably said good morning. Randy Gushlaw, how you doing, buddy? I work till 12:30 a.m. I'm up to 2. Yeah. I never did a night shift for any duration of time. Only as something was burning down and I had to go in when I go in at night. So I don't know what that would have did to me. The closest thing I'd ever come to that would be in May. In the old days when I was guiding, we would row, either row the harbor, or that's how I started with Captain Tony Buffa on the back of his boat doing the midnight walleye charters. We'd either fish from 6 to midnight or from midnight to 6. And then, so you'd either, in those morning trips, you'd go right in fishing for brown trout right there in the harbor, same places. Sometimes you'd catch browns at night with the walleyes. Those brown trout had no problem feeding at night if they were there. And big fatties too. Fatties. Tony Booth will tell you about that. And just horse of even those post-spawn walleyes we'd catch there at night, trolling the harbor. And there for a while, that was the craze. I have no idea what that's like now, but there for a while, I mean, there would be 10 charter boats out there at night trolling full spreads in the dark for walleyes, plus drift boats, plus private boats. I have no idea if that fishery's still like that. I haven't done it in years. I know those fish are still there. I just don't know because for a while, boy, if you said to somebody at a sports show, listen, you want to, especially, because in all the shows we did, we're out of town. But Tony would tell you, if you told somebody, hey, you want to catch a 10-pound walleye, and you weren't bullshitting them, because if you wanted to, we were catching them almost nightly, and some big ones, 13s I've seen and heard of. I don't know if I've ever, Tony, have you ever heard of a 14 or at Tony Buffel? What's your biggest over there at night? Let's see. Jim G, good afternoon. Chris Bryan. Yeah, Eric said they were sold out. Yep. Mimi, good afternoon, Tony. This is your buddy, Tony, from the east end of the lake. I have the Kiss the Boat, the red tracker. Look forward to seeing you out there this summer. Tony Buffa, Big Fish, May 1st. So you're saying, Tony, to have the Derby start on the 1st? Like this year, it would start on the 1st and end on the 7th? Because no matter what, it would only be the longest it could possibly be would be 6 days. I'd have to think about that. I'd have to think about that. The first thought of logistics would be, who and how much could be available for way stations when it's not the weekend of. I don't know. That's a thought. Like the Lake Erie Fall Bash, that's a Big Fish total weight, not total weight, individual weight. And I think Mike was telling me about that. I think that goes on for 2 or 3 weeks, more like an LOC. And I suppose you could do that, quite honestly, because you would always culminate on that Sunday, no matter what, the Sunday of the first week. That's me thinking. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, because the Derby and the festival would be separate. Yeah, I'd have to think about that. Not a bad idea. Don Birdie asks, any news on my boat? No, none right at the moment. Scott Tagato, morning. Jason Wickizer. I have a friend caught 14-pounder Oswego fishing with Shane Thomas and drift boat pulling large Rapalas. F-18 was the day back in those days. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, you'd catch them on big 13s. You'd catch them on 13s, Husky Jerk 13s, 18s certainly. You'd catch them on. Depends on where you were out in there. You had different baits depending on what line you were on. You'd have your guys change them out because I'm rowing. Let's say I'm in my drift boat. I would be rowing, and I can't be changing lines. So your guys up in front would have to bring them in. You'd have things laid out depending on which. So like if you came in front of the fort, that's the shallowest ones, and you'd have that inside rod. So going that way, it'd be your number one rod. And I'd have that up in 2 foot of water, but I'd be creeping along in there. And you'd see it kick every once in a while, but that 18, I was going so slow, it never really had time to dig. It would just kind of go like this, That was one advantage the drift boat guys had over the charter boat guys there at night was that ability to really get shallow, quiet, and slow. That's a deadly combination for those walleyes. And even at that slow speed, those rod tips would still go like that. It wasn't, they were in there wallowing, looking on patrol, really. And they'd come across, and that thing was that big, 3 trebles. It was gnarly. Tony Buffa says, biggest 12.5 at Oswego, my personal best 14 in the Saranac River at Plattsburgh. Tony, you've told me that story before because I remember the Garcia eelet, which was the lure. I do remember you saying that. And to catch one in the Saranac like that of that size, my God. But the Saranac dumps into – where's the Saranac dump into? Lake Champlain, Plattsburgh, Lake Champlain. Huh. Yeah. So yes, Jason, that was the ticket back in those days, and I would assume it still would be. Um, what's up, John Lutz? Merlin, let's see. Don Terry, that eyelet would be a small snack for that eye, Tony. Yeah, because I don't think they were very big. Um, yeah. Uh, Chief Stone says, Matt, what line type were you using on Cayuga this week? I had my rod set up for my regular life, I guess. And Tony and anybody else can weigh in on this. Like my rods are set up with the reels I want on them, and my line is on there. I personally don't have a whole box full of reels that are just interchangeable. Like you'd have one reel that had this particular line on it, and you would have already had that kind of preset for a certain pattern that would go because maybe it wasn't paired permanently with a rod, you know. So some guys have 15 different combos that are all completely rigged for different things. But I really have, like right now, I'm fishing a 5-rod set, and I'm doing everything I'm doing with it. So I had my bait caster with me. I had my JT Outdoors Black Rain. I'm gonna grab them real quick. Hold on. They're right here in the corner. So I had my bait caster with me, and I did show this briefly on the. So that is the 7'3" medium extra fast set up on a bait caster. This is my, and you can see what it has on it. Normally, this is what I set up to be my jerkbait rod, and also I don't mind. Actually, I kind of like snapping jigging wraps with my left arm on a bait caster like this. I find I have more control over it, and I can be a little more powerful, a little faster. Anyway, I took the jerkbait off and I put a 3/4 ounce lead head on it with a tail, twister tail. Down it went. And now that rod for fishing jerkbaits is set up with, that's got the, what is that? Fireline, the white Fireline, down to a 10-pound leader, 10-pound fluorocarbon leader, about 4 feet long. And so the first fish I caught out there in Cayuga was on that setup. And the other setup is what I use. This is going to be my blade rod, but this was the first rod that I started jigging with. And this is the 6'3" Black Rain. This is a medium power extra fast tip. This is a split Tennessee handle here, and I've shown this to you before, but I'll show it because it's important. This is everything about your rods are personal to you. But so anyway, so now this particular rod has 10-pound Cortland master braid and bright yellow, and then I had that down to, if I'm jigging a blade bait, I run. Usually, I run the Cortland Top Secret fluorocarbon, and I'll usually run that in 14-pound, which is a little stiffer than normal 14-pound. 20 in the fall, or if you're on bigger fish. That's with my blade, and that's not for what you're fighting. That's so the limp line doesn't go like this, and your blade doesn't fold over. That's all. And those are my two setups. And I use that combination really for everything. All my other, and I'm looking over in the corner, all my other reels are set up braid to fluorocarbon. I did mess around last year with throwing straight fluorocarbon on my swim bait presentation, but I don't know that I don't, I'm not convinced that I caught a ton more fish because of it. And, I fished one day with Mike Casano, Captain Mike Casano, and Mike is an excellent swim bait fisherman. Excellent. And he said this, what I'm telling you now, and what I've always done is braid to fluorocarbon is just fine. It works. So I do that for everything. I like, yes, it's fast and yes, it's not as forgiving. And people talk about it being, mono and fluoro having, everything has different properties, but my arm will give a fish and take a fish immediately. I don't know that I fight it. I don't know that I fight it any differently. That's just what I use, and I use it for everything. Tony said yes, the Saranac does flow into Lake Champlain. Tony's saying I was thinking only on May 1st, a one-day thing. Still, I don't know. But I like opening weekend. It always felt, I don't know. I just love the tradition of it. Jason Wick is her favorite line, Power Pro or Suffix 832. I have used both of those in the past quite extensively, and now everything I have is Cortland. And that Cortland Master Braid, I can't say anything bad about it, even down to color retention. Those other two lose color very quickly, especially that Suffix 832 and the bright green, which I used to fish exclusively on everything. And also too, when the weather is cold, that 832 holds a lot of water and does ice up pretty quickly. So everything I use now, well, that Fireline is Berkeley, and that Fireline, and I do use Fireline in some trolling applications. And we'll go into trolling rods when we get closer to open water season. But no, all of my casting rods, spinning rods are Cortland Master Braid. And I have been more than pleased with it, and I will continue to use that almost exclusively. I even use their saltwater Master Braid in blue, which has some kind of special coating, and it's supposed to resist some of the salt water as well. They make great products, and they're a local company. And I grew up with Cortland line, and now to feel like I'm back with them because they're a superior product is awesome. So. Chris Bryan is talking about line. He said, I did a side-by-side comparison on Skinny Atlas, clear water, and the Crystal Fire line took no strikes. Interesting. Listen, there's a lot of variables that can happen. Mark Webb. So this is an excellent point. Mark Webb says, everyone going shorter on jig rods. Of course, I just bought a longer one. Fishing is preference. And so, okay. Yeah, I was going to use an analogy, but that might not be the right one. It's preference on what you want, and it's feel and how it feels to you, and And certain rods you pick up, and as soon as you put them in your hand, it automatically kind of cocks, and you're like, and especially these new ones are so much. When I picked up these JT long rods when they were shipped to me for the first time, as soon as you pick it up, it just automatically, you're like, boom, boom, boom. I mean, you can just feel it. It's so precise, and they're so light. In the transmission, therein lies the difference in rods, and you can catch a lot of fish on a lot of rods. And you're talking about shorter. Well, in that world of precision or pressured fish or finicky fish or this forward-facing sonar revolution where you're looking at him and you think to yourself, I only got so long in that strike zone, and you watch that lure fall into his zone, and you're like this, that's when a shorter is the key, though, because now transmission distance, you've shortened it from your tip, because that vibration enters the rod through your rod tip, through the eyelet at the very end. Boom. Now it takes it that long to get from there to your hand. Before it goes from your hand to your brain, he's there, stick him. And so the faster that all is, because those fish, remember we read that article in In Fisherman the other day? I read another one this morning while I was sitting down. And it was talking about the speed in which a walleye can take a bait, and with all those teeth, it's through suction, just like a smallmouth, which I didn't really know is a scientific fact until this morning. So the amount of time they can go like this and then potentially spit it back out is they said a blink of an eye, a microsecond. So if that vibration's got to go 6 feet or 5 feet, 5 feet will be faster. Now, maybe that's mental. Maybe that's a lot of things, you tell, I don't know, but it allows you to be faster. And then in the situation, like what I do with my equipment, is I like to have my hand in front of the reel and as close to the blank as possible, because that speeds it up. So this is the fastest hand position you can have, and this would be the slowest. Like, you don't see many people that hold the rod back here. You could, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if a fish can pick it up and let it go that fast, then you want to be quicker up here to come into them than farther back here, just because you don't have as much time. So, and shorter rods have always came in and out of fashion for a lot of reasons. I remember buying my Gramp for his birthday one year, which was, his birthday was May 3rd, so it was always right there at the beginning of walleye season. I bought him a Gary Roach Signature Series Berkeley rod. It was a Berkeley Lightning rod, I believe, Gary Roach Series, and that thing was 5'3". It was like a little whip. It was the craziest little rod, and he loved it. He loved it perch fishing because it was so fast. I mean, it was almost like fishing. Some of these ice rods now are 48 inch, and this thing was 5'3", so it was 51 inches. So they've been around in short rod, long rod. It's such preference. It really is such preference. I think there's a that's what she said joke in there. I think somewhere. I'm not sure. I feel like there would be a joke in there somewhere. Let me put my glasses on. Hold on. All right, I'm ready. Come on. Knock it off. Quit your fooling around. Don Terry says mine is 7'2" long and works great. Thanks, Don. I think there's a joke in there somewhere too. I'm not going to say it. So, in there again, we talked to nothing is ever any one thing all the time. There are a lot of rods that will do a lot of different things, and a lot of different prices, and I love it. I love them all. I've had them all. I fished them all. And so what you decide on, but Some guys don't realize the differences in these things. Like now there's all this information on your rod blank, just above the handle, and it's got a paragraph of what this thing is and does. And some people may not know, and some people may not really know what they like. And picking a rod up in a store and going wiggling it and going, oh, it feels great. You don't know till you set that hook the first time and I've had rods that I bought in years past that turned out to not do what I thought they were going to do. So I had to change what I was using it for, because not everything works for everything. You're not gonna deep jig or set the hook on with a big heavy wire hook with a ultralight action rod. I don't care if it's 4 foot long or 10 foot long. Just because it doesn't have the oomph for that. But if you're going to fight big fish and on light line, you want that ultralight action to act as a big shock absorber, and then it protects that lighter line. And then everything in between, there's some other way to do it. I just like to say, because people ask, I like to say what I do and why, and hoping that not that I make you want to do what I do, but that you at least have a starting point to go, all right, well, here's what he's thinking. And I bet if you asked, we could go through right now and everybody could give their setup. But if today was opening day and you tied a blade on and you were heading out to the lake, what would be, what would your line combination be? You could even go into rod size if you wanted to, or in action, and you could break the whole thing down, and you would find it would run a gamut that you wouldn't believe, and that everybody that would say it would be like, I've caught plenty of fish on this setup, and they would all be right simultaneously. That's the mind-blowing part. So I can only refine things for me. It's Larry and Michelle. Hold on. Sorry, we have guests. I didn't realize they were coming right now. You can do it on a lot of different ways. I continually try to reinvent what I do for myself based on what I want at the time. So that's also very personal on how I tailor things, because you have tools that you want to do a certain thing with, Let's see here. Let's keep going. We're at 33 minutes. We'll go a little longer if everybody wants. Brian Stone says, I tied direct with no swivels and used fire line. Never had a problem. I ran inline barrel swivels on everything I fished for years as the connection between Superline and leader. Peanut Gallery. Shh. I have short attention span as it is. I use Captain Jason. I use Cortland Master Braden 10 with 12 to 16 pound sniper fluorocarbon for leader for Lakers and eyes. Yeah. Jason and I were talking about that Monday when we were on the boat together. Let's see. Let's keep going here. TG, love fireline, but usually not direct to the bait. Always tie in fluoro leaders and sometimes a barrel swivel. Yeah. Last year, I really experimented more and more with the different knots to make the connection. I still haven't settled on one that I absolutely love. I think I've tied all 3 or 4 of them now. Don Terry, Jason, I need to use higher poundage on my fluorocarbon leader. And Don's another one. Don Terry will tell you, and jokingly so, there was a picture he put on Facebook one day last year, and he said he said people were busting on him because tied to his bait at the end of his line was like a brass barrel swivel and a snap and swivel right there. And he goes, it doesn't seem to bother him. He goes, I catch plenty of fish, and he's right. I mean, he's right. There's very few things that are a deal breaker for fish where they're going to be like, I'm not biting that. And I don't think that list is very big at all, to be honest with you. Mimi says, my grandpa liked that fishing rod because I gave it to him. Well, yes, of course. I'm sure. Typically fishing, Iris said, keep your tip up. I have a young daughter fan club. I love it. Scott G says the kickoff blitz ticket is a derby ticket. Yes, it's a derby ticket. I had named each week a different name is a advertising thing. Get your tickets this week, and then I decided to let everybody be in every week's drawing once they bought their ticket. So. Chief Stone says Power Pro Super Braid 8 braid is phenomenal for distance and quieter retrieve. Far less eyelet screech, and no, I'm not a paid spokesperson. Neither am I. TG, got to run. Have a great day, buddy. Talk to you soon. Scott G, yes, typically fishing. I used a 7.2 rod, and last summer I was advised to add a fluorocarbon leader on my 10-pound Power Pro braid, and it changed my game. So, it's funny. Again, you can ask 10 people what they think, and you can ask everybody on here right now. If you're fishing a reaction bait, would it matter if you add straight colored braid or even olive green colored braid right to the eye, right to the snap, right to whatever? I don't know. I don't think so. When you go flipping for largemouth, I used to take a Sharpie marker and black out the first couple feet, but I was running braid right to it, 65-pound braid right to the flipping hook. And those largemouth still came over and woofed it. Now you might say largemouth are dumb, or I don't know. I don't think they're any smarter or less than any other fish. And it didn't seem to bother them any. And so I don't know. I don't think fluorocarbon leaders hurt anything. So if you want to put them in, I do. Could you get away without it? I'll bet you could. And I don't think you'd see that much of a drop off in hookup numbers. And we could do, it's funny, like you could do that out on a day. Now you can't. I mean, it wouldn't foolproof prove because it's 50-50. And the truth is, I'm sure it could work. And now Chris is saying on my jerk baits, I don't typically tie a leader straight to braid. And Chris, I'm assuming you catch fish on your jerk baits, or you wouldn't still do it. Looking up, Mark says, looking up and seeing my boat is on the fish's list. Yeah. All right, guys. Anybody got anything else? I'll give it a minute. We're at 40 minutes. You don't want to waste your whole lunch hour listening to me. I forget. I thought I had something else. Babe? Yeah, I've been out in the garage all morning cleaning, getting things, out, put away from the winter, and my garage gets crowded, and there's construction debris in there, and so I've been out there all morning, trying to get my head together, and then I just turned down some tunes and started putting stuff away. Stephen Eddy, do you own a CO2 vest? Yes, I do, Stephen. Yes, I do. Dave Muldoon, thanks for joining us, buddy. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Jason says, yeah, I think I'm going to take off and go grab some lunch. Thanks, everybody. Sorry about last night. I'll see you guys tomorrow, I promise. Have a great day. Keep your tip up. Larry's behind me doing the same thing.